The most important meal of the day, second breakfast.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth alongside Phil Duvall. Say hi, Phil.
Hello, Andy, and hello, everybody. Andy,
Phil,
I want to tell you
Phil,
something.
Tell me something.
I refuse to be sad. And it's not because I'm not sad about Harold Ramis.
Okay.
It's that we have done a couple of episodes in a row feeling like talking about someone who's just died. And in retrospect, and all I'm going to say, and this is going to sound really strange, but this is where my head's at right now. Like, we just dealt with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and that is way more tragic than this. This is a 69-year-old guy who was too young.
Who was really ill.
Yeah. And was surrounded by his family and died with his family by his side. Doesn't make it not sad.
Yes.
But I don't want to do this thing where it's like the greatest tragedy of all time.
No.
And frankly, I don't think it's disrespectful of Harold Ramis to just be like, you know what? This was a guy. This was this guy.
Disrespectful to Harold Ramis.
Fine, that too. Listen, I'm not worried about my grammar right now, Andy, because
because the devastation has taken hold of your soul.
All of a sudden I'm feeling it.
Forget everything I just said.
Harold Ramis is one of the most significant people to the development of my sense of humor that I can think of.
It's true. And yet, do you know what keeps running through my head right now?
How underrated he is?
Well, sure, but the things he was actually responsible for or acting in or something. You know what actually is running through my head right now? Well, for any number of reasons. It's the scene he shares with Seth Rogen in Knocked Up.
I've been thinking about that a lot too, actually. In fact, today when he died, after thinking, wait a minute, and a lot of people who know me already know this, I was watching Stripes yesterday. Like, I was flipping around channels and Stripes was on at the beginning, and I was like, I haven't seen Stripes in forever. Mm-hmm. And I sat and watched the entire movie.
Yes.
Unbeknownst to me that Mr. Ramis was on his deathbed when I did this. And so the first thing I thought was, whoa, that's weird. And the second thing I thought was, man, he was so good in Knocked Up. Like, that was literally the next thing I thought.
Sure. Just to get something legal out of the way, Second Breakfast Podcast neither confirm or deny that Phil's watching of Stripes for the first time in years is actually the thing that killed Harold Ramis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for...
Sleep well tonight.
Yeah, seriously.
Friend.
You know what? Maybe you should sleep well tonight, because I'm going to watch one of our podcasts. This is over. No, I won't do that. That's not true.
Make it the director's cut with Keith. He's got nothing left to live for anyway.
What if it's me? That would be terrible.
That would be terrible for everyone except for me, because I would still be alive.
It's true. Fair point.
So Harold Ramis. So I want to go back to something you said. I want to go back to something you said. How responsible he is for your sense of humor. Folks, he was involved in something called Second City. And Second City is up there with like the it's arguably the greatest improv school there is, and just about any famous comedian you can name spent at least a little time there. But Second City Television, or SCTV specifically, is a Canadian sketch comedy show. It's an offshoot from the Second City troupe that was in Toronto, and it ran late 70s to mid 80s. And I mean, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis, John Candy, Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin, Catherine O'Hara, Martin Short, Dave Thomas. I mean, these are not only people that informed your sense of humor if you were anywhere near our age, Phil's and my age. They have informed literally every comedian that has come after them. Period. And so I don't want to spend a lot of time doing this, but these are some of the things that Harold Ramis was responsible for. He acted in Stripes, Ghostbusters. He was in. He had a very funny part in Orange County, which was not a good movie, but he was funny in it.
Right.
Just great in Knocked Up. He was the director of Caddyshack, of National Lampoon's Vacation, of Groundhog Day, of Analyze This, and he directed episodes of The Office. He wrote, and I'll stop here. He wrote Animal House. He wrote Meatballs. He wrote Caddyshack and Striped. He wrote Ghostbusters. Some of these were with other people because something that Second City and SCTV did. It was very collaborative. But Groundhog Day, Analyze This. Unfortunately, a lot of his last credits were Year One, which was not a good movie.
I actually thought Analyze This was not a good movie personally, but that's just me and a bunch of other people who have good taste.
I liked it a lot when I saw it, and I can remember one joke. No, two jokes from that movie.
I remember one joke that I remember a lot of jokes from the movie. I remember one that I actually laughed at, and I cannot repeat it here because this is a family podcast.
The same one. Yes.
Is it the one where
weird.
he's just yes.
Yes.
Oh, that is a glorious moment in that movie.
Hey,
but
go back in the house.
Right.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes. But something that struck me about that scene in Knocked Up, and then I'll shut up and let you talk some more. Something that struck me about that scene in Knocked Up, his character is clearly such a loser. Like, he's such a loser. You can see how he is the dad of Seth Rogen's such a loser character, right? And yet he has such a good heart. Like, this sounds crazy, but Seth Rogen in that movie is the stereotypical, the archetypal loser with a warm heart. And it's so rare that you get to see how they got that way, you know? And in that scene, you see he comes by it honestly because his dad is exactly the same way.
And I just love his dad. I love Harold Ramis as an actor in that scene because he comes in and he manages to be casual and blasé without being a phoning it in performance. He just oozes this sense of like, yeah, you're my kid and it'll be fine. Like, there's zero judgment.
Yes.
He manages this thing that I feel like some Jewish dads can manage. Like, to me, it's just like a fundamentally Jewish dad characteristic of being able, and it's not, I mean, I'm sure there are some Gentiles that can master this.
You're right.
Nevertheless, the trademark, the patent goes to the Jews, where there's this sort of like ability to recognize that your son did something dumb and call it that without it being judgmental. Do you know what I mean by that?
I did.
Sort of like a we're in this together sort of thing. Like,
yes.
There is this very waspy tendency among us Gentiles to sort of like, you've shamed the family and I disowned thee.
Right.
And there's this utterly Jewish like, well, look what we've done.
Do wasps still use the word "thee" in normal conversation?
I've said too much.
You're gonna get blacklisted, dude.
I'm over. It's over. I'm done. I've been trying to become a Jew for so long. Maybe eventually I'll get let in.
I'm just excited I'll be able to use the word defrocked.
It's true.
Yeah. So yeah, and I will butcher it even if I can remember the actual words he says. But where he's just like, what can I tell you? I love you. You know, it's just like, it's so sweet and funny and just the right amount of heartbreaking.
It's simple. It's
like,
just simple.
Yes.
You know, simple.
And that's like, so you watched Stripes yesterday. This evening, and may or may not have killed him. This evening, two folks who were just listening to the podcast. Phil just gave me a pouty face, which I think is well earned. I mean, and totally valid. I watched Ghostbusters this evening, and his performance in that movie is
Amazing.
a study in understatement.
Oh man. And I there's a scene. I mean, it's a little bit more hammy, but I love him in Ghostbusters too. I actually linked to a scene on my Facebook page where they're talking about how he never had any toys, and Ray's like, "You must have had some toys," and he's like, and he goes, "Well, one time I had a piece of a Slinky, but I straightened it." And he says it like totally deadpan. I had a piece of Slinky once, but I straightened it. And there's also that moment in that movie that I love so much when they finally get their power proton things back,
right?
And they switch them on, and Bill Murray goes, Venkman goes dough, and then Ray goes Ray, and then Egon turns his on and goes Egon. And then they all look over at him, and he does that classic Harold Ramis face of like, eh? So it's a little less understated in the second one, but I love it.
That's so weird because the rest of Ghostbusters 2 is so understated. Yes.
I know, I love Ghostbusters 2.
It's been too long since I've seen it. It's been too long since I've seen it.
I mean, Ghostbusters 1 is just like straight up classic, and Ghostbusters 2 is
an amusing diversion.
Rococo, if you will.
Well said. Okay. I mean anything with Peter McNichol.
But say more about Egon and Ghostbusters.
I collect spores, moles, and fungus. and I'll tell you what I love about that, because the first few times I watched it, the first many times I watched it, but I was a kid when it came out and growing up, but even from the beginning, when I didn't super clearly understand what was going on, I knew that. I mean, obviously, I knew that they were trying to get humor out of the Annie Potts character flirting with him, right?
Yes.
But what I didn't realize until fairly recently was that that's his way of flirting back. Like he's not like, get away from me, because he doesn't have any problem. Like Egon's issue is not that he's not shy exactly, and he's just
openly nerdy.
He doesn't have a lack of confidence. If he were uninterested, he would say, "Get away from me." You know, he would probably say it just like that. But you must have something, and you can see like his computer is like the computer in his mind is like tick 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 tick. What do I say? He's like, I collect spores, molds, and fungus, and then he just walks away.
Yeah, amazing.
And there's probably a part of him going like, nailed it, you know, like
that's interesting.
And yet, if you don't get that, and this is what I mean by understated, it's so lovely and understated, and what that means is if you don't get it, it's not like that scene works any less. And I could be wrong. Of course I could be wrong.
Did you know that movie was originally written to be a buddy comedy between Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis? And then they pulled and then they were like that was the original draft, and then they were like, we need to make this something else, and they brought in Bill Murray, and we're not going to make this podcast about Bill Murray, but the reality is that dynamic did something, and then they bring in Ernie Hudson in the second act, and what you really have is, it's not just a buddy movie, it becomes one of the great ensemble comedies.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of those characters is so perfectly defined.
Yes.
And the relationship between Ray and Winston, the relationship between Egon and Venkman, the relationship between Venkman and Ray, the relationship between Venkman and Winston. You see all of these relationships separately.
Yes.
And they all have their own relationships and characters and personalities. Mm-hmm. And and I mean, like you were mentioning the way that Egon is with Janine, but then the way Venkman is with Janine. I mean, it's like they each have their own, like they, you know, and that's a genius of writing. Like that is beautiful writing.
It is, and that was him. That was Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd.
And he had Harold Ramis, I think, and we're not, by the way, I'm not gonna we need to move on from this because I don't want to make this whole podcast about Ramis, but I will say, Groundhog Day may end up being considered the greatest comedy of our time. And it may also not be considered that, and that's fine. There are some people who will hear that and be like, "You're an insane human being." It is in the conversation.
It has to be. It has to be.
And I mean, as it is as worthy a player in that conversation as Animal House, Caddyshack, and Ghostbusters.
Agreed.
And
Well said.
it is
And Vacation? Yes.
It is a beautifully complete film.
Yeah. Yeah, that movie is kind of a miracle. That movie is here's the deal. Even though I love Harold Ramis as an actor, I was considering, instead of watching Ghostbusters tonight, I was considering watching Groundhog Day.
And the good news is he's in it for about 10 seconds, so you would have that.
Well, yes.
But no, I know what you mean. It is... Okay, here's my question, Andy.
Please.
You can only take one Harold Ramis movie on your desert island. What's your desert island?
This isn't my final answer forever and ever on them, because it might end up being Ghostbusters, but I think I've got to go with Groundhog Day. I think I have to.
It is absolutely between those two.
Oh, sure. Which is not to sneeze at Animal House or any of the others we've mentioned, but
right.
Because Groundhog Day is not less funny than Ghostbusters.
It might be year one. Said no one ever.
Analyze that.
Did I tell you that I met Harold Ramis at Chicago O'Hare Airport once?
How are we this far into the podcast and you're just saying this now?
Because it was a very disappointing encounter, and I don't want to talk about it.
Was he a jerk?
He was I'm not going to call him a jerk, no. He was... What is the term I'm looking for? He was not... I don't want to say unresponsive, because it sounds like he was dead, and that's not what I mean. He was not as welcoming, perhaps, as I would have hoped, considering what I thought to be a very polite introduction to myself. But
sure. He
might have been at the airport waiting for people, and I was just some guy, and he obviously was a shy guy and not someone who wanted to be in the middle of the spotlight and all that.
This is in no way obviously, A, I wasn't there. B, I don't know what happened. C, who knows. But of all the places in the world where you don't want to, judge somebody...
He was clearly waiting for someone, and I saw him, and I am not someone... I'm not someone who needs to talk to celebrities.
Right.
I'm also not someone who's going to pass up a chance to say hi to Harold Ramis. And that's just what it came down to.
Sure. Totally.
So he was, and that's fine. So I don't bring it up because it's not a moment that I love.
That's fair.
But I also felt like if I didn't bring that up in this podcast, that would be kind of ridiculous.
I would have been furious with you.
Well, there you go.
I'll just throw it out there. I would have been furious with you.
You know what? I don't want to end this podcast on a deadly note. So let's move on to what we're going to jump into tonight, which is very exciting.
Folks, it's not that exciting, but
whoa.
That's a lie. What am I kidding? It's something we're doing. It's extremely exciting.
It's the most exciting thing
in the world.
Do you watch Bob's Burgers?
No.
Okay, well, you will someday, and then you'll be thankful for the world that you let exist with this show in it. And in that show, there's a character named Linda, who is a woman voiced by a man, and she's wonderful. And one of the things that our friend Jeremy and I went and saw this symposium where two of the writers from Bob's Burgers were being interviewed, and we got to go to the Q&A thing, and they were just talking about something that I realized that. This character, Linda, she sings a lot of things she says. She just turns them into songs. And she does it it's like not scripted. And so they just have to rework the script around the fact that she just sang that line. Or the animators are they can't animate until afterwards. Right. Because you never know what Linda's going to do. And awesome. So I just thought that was kind of fantastic.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
So, folks, speaking of Bob's Burgers, a big fan of Bob's Burgers is our friend Daniel Carlson. Huge
DC.
Fan. So that happened. You were here at that moment. That
DC.
Well, wow. he sent us some mailbag questions, and they take the form. He called them a mini gauntlet. This is not a mini gauntlet, folks. But then he said, "Would you rather?" So we're going to play a game of Would You Rather with a few questions that he sent us. Here's the deal, everybody. We love mailbag questions, and we love gauntlets, and we love this whatever this is that Daniel sent us. You don't have to be cute about it. Just send us a question. We will answer. I'm not complaining. Be
I
cute
love
if
the
you
backhanded
want.
compliment of Daniel Carlson here. It's kind of amazing.
Daniel Carlson walks on water for me. You know that. There's no backhand in my compliment.
Okay.
Daniel, call me.
Do it. He'll use his tricks on you.
It's true. All I'm saying is this. Phil, where should the good people of Second Breakfast Nation send their questions? Should they have any movie-related?
Oh, they should send it to secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com. That's secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com. No numbers, no dashes, no cap letters. Just secondbreakfastpodcast@gmail.com. That's secondbreakfast @gmail.com.
GMAIL.com.
Andy, don't be ridiculous.
I'm sorry. Phil, I'm sorry.
You're
What
right.
I mean with my "I will grant you" far too glib comment about "don't be cute" is this: if you have a question, you can just send it in. You don't have to put it into You don't have to put it into a format you think we will find amusing.
Right.
That's all I mean.
Right.
All I mean. Shall we dive in?
Please.
6 questions. Question the first.
I knew you were going to do that.
I knew you knew I was going to do that. You can travel back in time and save the life of one, and only one, film actor or actress who died too young. However, doing this will upset the balance of the universe, requiring you to assign a current actor or actress to be killed. Do you do it? Who do you save, and who do you let die? I think I know who your answer's going to be.
That's funny because my answer is no, I would not do it.
No.
I'm a Christian. I'm not going to murder anybody for art. That's ridiculous. So do I answer the question anyway? I mean, is this? I'm willing to, but
Phil,
literally, he wants me to say someone that I would kill.
As we discussed as we were forming this podcast, if I can get you to turn your back on your faith, then I'll consider it a good day. You don't have to answer the question if you don't want to. I think I know that I would either save River Phoenix or Philip Seymour Hoffman. I was going to say, and my answer is, this sounds crazy, but I still don't feel like he's gone. So I didn't even consider Philip Seymour Hoffman. I was going to say River Phoenix.
I think the only other choice that I could throw in there that would just be like super obvious would be James Dean.
Yep, sure.
Because James Dean is an actor who his icon is bigger than his acting. Like, he is more famous as an icon than as an actor, and yet his acting I've only seen 2 of 3 of his movies, but it's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yes.
I love East of Eden so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love him.
Yeah, yes. So is the one you haven't seen Giant?
Yeah, I haven't seen Giant yet.
Okay. You know what? He's really good in it.
Shocked? Not at all.
I know. Folks were just listening to the podcast instead of watching it. Phil is totally wearing his stunned face right now.
So wait, am I killing someone that's like dead right now, or do I kill them?
I think you have to kill. I don't think you can kill a dead person. I think you have to choose someone to die.
Does their work from this point on is over? But like, does the stuff from before last?
I think it's just they die now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dan Aykroyd then.
Wow.
Yeah. I was gonna say Brad Pitt, but unfortunately, all his past stuff would still exist. And at least there was a time when I loved Dan Aykroyd.
What? What? Okay.
I see now. I feel terrible. I wouldn't kill anyone. Dan Aykroyd, I'm sure you're a lovely man. Who did you think I was going to say, by the way?
I didn't know who you were going to kill because that's a much wider...
you just knew who I was going to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll go with River Phoenix. And I'll say rest in peace, Christopher Plummer.
Oh, I see what you did.
See what I did there? I
still think he has a better chance of having good work in his future than Dan Aykroyd. I really do. I think I'm not trying to. The thing is, it sounds like I'm trying to be mean, and I feel like Bill in Kill Bill. Like, this is me at the height of my mercy. Like, fair. I'm not.
Okay, then here's my actual answer. I'll save River Phoenix, and thank you for the first Austin Powers and So I Married an Axe Murderer, Mike Myers.
See, this is where it becomes awful, and yet the truth shall set you free.
It's true.
It's really good when you quote Jesus when you're thinking about who you would kill.
I gotta be honest. It's like I've taken my rescue inhaler. I can breathe easier now. It's unbelievable. I feel better.
Proud of you.
Moving on. You can become a billionaire tomorrow, but you're only allowed to watch Kevin Smith movies for the rest of your life. Do you do it?
No. Nope. No. Also, no. My life is good.
Here's the deal.
I'm like 100-aire, and my life is good.
There's no director, even my favorite director, nobody that I would say I only want to watch one director's movies forever. I just. No.
Can you see my wheels turning?
I know you're thinking Scorsese. I know you're thinking Tarantino. I get it. I do.
I actually decided in my head neither of those. I did think, honestly, when it came to this question, that I would consider this for the Coen brothers.
Okay.
But in the end, well, you know what I would do? I would get really into books and sports. I would.
Right.
Like,
because when you're a billionaire, sports can be like summiting Everest.
Well, first of all, because I'd own a sports team.
Totally.
And secondly, I mean, one of the reasons I don't watch very much sports is because there's always a movie I'd rather watch. But then also, I'd have tons of television to watch. You know what? I still wouldn't do this for Kevin Smith, but I might do it for someone else.
No. I respect your answer, but for me, it's still no. There's nobody.
I'm assuming that I'm still allowed to watch TV, in which case this becomes a lot more interesting because I could watch The Sopranos over and over again and be a billionaire.
Sure. Variety is the spice of life, my friend. So, I'm just saying.
I don't know. This is changing my whole...
Can I go first?
The quality of current television is changing the way I answer this.
I don't think television is part of it. I think you're allowed to do whatever you want with television because otherwise I have to read it like you're literally allowed to not lay eyeballs on anything but movies that are directed by Kevin Smith forever. Which, frankly, even if you're a billionaire, doesn't seem feasible. like you've got goggles on that are constantly showing you like
I have to choose. No, I don't know. That's what he doesn't mean. I'm still going to say no on principle, but it becomes more difficult in light of how good television is right now.
Okay, that's fair. It's fair.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanna answer this next question first, if that's okay with you.
Do.
Number 3. You're allowed to marry your ultimate movie star crush, actor or actress, but you can't tell any of your friends. Do you do it? The answer is no. I don't. Because I am a screaming social liberal, and were I to marry Jimmy Stewart, I would want all of my friends to know about it.
Oh my gosh. You're ridiculous.
I know.
My answer is no, because I'm freaking married. That's my answer. I'm married the woman of my dreams. What? Why would I want to marry? What? Listen, and don't get me wrong, Daniel Carlson. I have a lot of movie star crushes.
Sure.
A lot of them. A lot.
Yes.
Scarlett Jo. I'll name them: Scarlett Johansson, Jennifer Lawrence, Amy Adams, Jessica Chastain. Like any one of those. It's what's the question? And then the answer is, of course, they're my screen crush because I don't have to actually talk to them or know them in any way.
Exactly. Yes.
Whereas I know my
true.
wife. The ring on my finger tells me I know my wife, and I'm all set.
The ring on your finger talks to you?
You'll see when you get married. The thing is, it does. It says, "Yeah, it's over, Andy."
Your ring tells me it's over? I'm very confused right now.
All I'm saying, I know what he's trying to get at, but the answer would, if it was like you're single, first of all, which I'm not, and you get to have an affair with your favorite movie actress, but you don't tell anyone, I could go with that.
Totally.
But marriage? Like marriage. I gotta be around this person. Who am I gonna complain to if I can't tell my friends?
Nice. That's well said. Because also, like, does that mean you can't? All of a sudden, you become like chained in a house. Granted, it's a Hollywood mansion, but you're like, because you can't see your friends because they'll be like, "Where have you been?"
Jessica chained into a house? No.
You know what? No, I'll give that to you.
Thank you. I wanted that.
It wasn't your best, but you worked really hard for it, so I'm going to give it to you.
Thank you.
Like, what's the first question? Like, hey Phil, where have you been?
Work.
Work.
Working on my novel.
Work. Hey, look, folks. I'll be honest with you. This mini gauntlet or the would you rather, it's not very hard. It's not very.
Let me say this also. Do you remember Addams Family Values?
I do.
When Joan Cusack's character essentially takes Fester away and makes him think that he's not part of the family anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it would be if it was one of those women that I named. And I guess were I single and stupid, that sounds fine with me. But in the end, no. The only reason we have crushes on them is because we don't have to actually know them.
I think whether you're being glib or not, and I don't think you are, I think that's not just accurate, but I think that's precisely accurate. I think that's, yeah. So yeah. And folks,
with the exception of Jennifer Lawrence, who I hope never to meet.
Nice.
Because she's the one that I fear would actually unfortunately supersede.
Outshine the persona. So
it's terrible.
Folks, if you're out there thinking we're taking this too seriously, first off, are you new? If so, welcome. And yeah, it's what we do. And Daniel, you knew we were going to overanalyze this and come out on the... You know how I would be stunned if Daniel were surprised by any of our answers.
Next time we need to have him on the show to ask the questions himself.
I suppose. Wouldn't make it any more difficult. So outside of my glib answer of the desiccated corpse of Jimmy Stewart, I'm with you, Phil. Totally.
Okay. Next.
You are allowed to become best friends with the actor or filmmaker of your choosing. Friends for life. But you have to listen to Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters theme song 5 times a day, every day until you die. Do you do it?
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I mean, I'll go. Of course I do.
Absolutely.
My answer...
First thing when I wake up in the morning.
I know. My answer is only 5 times? You sure you don't want to go for double digits? Okay.
What's that 5 times? Let's say it's 3 minutes long. That's 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I do a lot worse things for 15 minutes every day.
Every day.
And I don't get to hang out with my favorite filmmaker /
Right.
The thing for me would be the hardest thing would be to figure out who that would be.
That's right. That's well said.
And the problem is most of them are older than us.
It's true.
So, like, am I really going to be Jack Nicholson's BFF? Probably not. I'm probably too slow for him even now.
That's what you're holding me back, kid.
Val, keep up.
Yeah. No. God. Yes. Of course I do it.
It might be Bill Murray.
Okay.
Speaking of the Ghostbusters theme.
Well done. It might.
But then I might resent him.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. It might be Ray Parker Jr. It's not Ray Parker Jr.
It has a better chance of being Harold Ramis.
It does. That's absolutely true. Number 5.
God
You
rest
have
his
a-
soul.
Yeah, R.I.P. You can have a real functioning version of any one movie gadget. Lightsaber, hoverboard, transporter, proton pack, you name it. In return, though, your favorite movie will be wiped from existence. No one but you will remember it. Do you do it?
I'm not that much in, and this is where I get super hippie. I really don't care about possessions, and I
Man.
really, no, man. I mean, I care that I have clothes and a bed, and I need a car to get around, but I don't need to hoverboard around or drive my Batmobile, and it would be the Batmobile from, and by the way, it would be the 1989 Batman Batmobile is what it would be.
Yes,
For
sir.
the record,
Yes,
just
sir.
clearly. And yet, I still say, no, of course not.
No.
It's silly.
I-
I don't need that.
You can't go to the moon with fractions, man. Yeah.
I guess if the object was Dennis Hopper in Apocalypse Now, maybe I would.
Nice. Nice. I would want the mirror that Martin Sheen smashes into in Apocalypse Now and then paints himself with his blood.
Oh, my.
Why would you do that? You could just
You know
buy
that
a
was
mirror.
real. You know that was real, right?
Yes, I know that was real.
Oh, man.
Oh, Martin Sheen. Lay off the drugs.
Seriously.
I mean, you're probably off them by now. I'm just saying. So, of course not. Of course, for a number of reasons. One, like, say I picked the lightsaber. What do you think the over-under is for number of minutes before I cut off an appendage? Right? 45 minutes max? Like,
Yep.
I would be screwing around with it, and all of a sudden you would call me, lefty, because I would cut my own right hand off.
I didn't pick a lightsaber even though it's such an obvious choice because I would not only kill other people, but I would lose a limb easily.
Yes.
It would be perfectly cauterized, but I would lose.
Also, even if that somehow didn't happen, are you ready for overanalyzing and taking this question way too seriously?
Please.
How long do you think you're going to get to play with that lightsaber before the government takes it away?
And that's the problem with the government.
Right?
It's not the problem with the lightsaber, it's the problem with the government.
No, what problem with a lightsaber? Yeah.
Hey Andy, they can take my lightsaber from my cold dead hand that I haven't cut off yet.
Indeed. So yeah. I mean, why would I jettison my favorite movie, whatever that might end up being, from existence? Wipe it from existence for 45 minutes of screwing around with something that's going to maim me for life before the government takes it away.
The interesting thing is that it would still exist for you. So I would know about Pulp Fiction and no one else would.
Yeah.
It's a strange dynamic. Now, the interesting thing
is.
about this is then I could make it.
Could you?
No.
I mean,
No.
like,
No.
let's just say I chose Lord of the Rings. I don't think that would be my choice, but let's just say it would be. New Line is not going to give me $450 million.
I wrote a phenomenal screenplay. I'm not saying it's as good as Casablanca. I'm just saying it's as good as anything since Casablanca. Have you seen it in production? No.
Nope.
Because who the hell am I?
It-
That's why. That's why.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, la-di-da.
Number 6, our last one. You're allowed to remake any one movie. You pick the writer, director, cast, etc. In exchange, though, your favorite movie will be remade with actors and a director you hate. Do you do it?
This is the best question since the first one. In
Agreed.
the sense of actually challenging.
Yes.
Andy?
Nah. It was tough. It was tough, but here's the deal. I couldn't. Well, okay. Oh. I feel like I just read this question for the first time. Like it finally made sense to me. Sure, I'll do it
Totally.
because
Totes my goats.
because I can remake any movie, thereby improving it because I'm awesome. And as I get older, I care less about remakes because it doesn't change the fact that the original is still out there.
And honestly, Uwe Boll's production of Pulp Fiction starring Dan Aykroyd and Brad Pitt is not going to hurt my feelings.
That's right.
See how I brought it all full circle there?
I do.
You're welcome, America. For Yui Ball. Someone needs to stab him in the face with car keys. That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
That's mean. I don't mean that. I really don't.
And maybe
I really don't mean that.
Maybe it could be Armand White, so then he would go to jail and stop writing criticism. See what I did there?
Genius. Here's the thing. I don't wish harm on Yui Ball. I wish he would stop doing things that involve movies. But I don't want him to be harmed. I want him to wake up one day and be like, oh, I repent. And then just like go do something good for the world.
And then like take up beekeeping or something, right?
Or literally anything else.
Right.
Anything that would be less harmful to the world, like, I don't know, serial killing. Because he's terrible. Oh, I'm so angry at Yui Ball right now.
So real quick, here's how I was reading it. Like, you can remake any movie, but then your favorite movie gets remade and the original.
So like it doesn't exist anymore. No.
Yeah, no.
It's just a remake.
Sure.
And I think you're right. I mean, I get it because but I do think it's a good question nevertheless because
me too.
it points out that I hate remakes.
Interesting. So you're more bothered by them now than you used to be? Or
I'm probably the same bothered. I recognize that there are times like Ocean's 11 where it works. But I am super bothered by them, yes. By and large, I'm super bothered by them. You know when I'm okay with a remake? When Scorsese remakes Goodfellas as Wolf of Wall Street. Then it's amazing.
Well said. Well said. I'm not being glib when I ask you this question.
Okay, I'll do my best.
What about a new Shakespeare movie?
I don't consider that a remake.
Okay.
I don't consider the Coen Brothers' True Grit a remake. It is an adaptation of an existing book.
Right.
A remake to me is here's a movie. It would be Pulp Fiction or Fargo. It would be remaking. Right. It would be. I mean, Ocean's 11 was a remake. Like that to me is a remake. And I'm really close to like the reboot thing. I'm almost done with the reboot thing. Sure. I know that we did a whole podcast a couple years ago on the difference between reboots and remakes, and I know that there is a difference. Yeah. But I'm like getting less and less interested in that difference.
I wasn't trying to trap you. I wasn't trying to.
No. I know that.
I wasn't being glib. I think I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, except that you are bothered by them more than I don't like them. I still, you will not be surprised to learn, have not seen the RoboCop remake.
I actually am surprised to learn that about you.
I have seen 2 movies in the theater this year. 2.
Who are you?
No, I don't know. I got nothing. And only one of them was any good. Well, but that's listen to the Dumpuary podcast that came out earlier.
Andy.
You'll know why only one was any good. Yeah, Phil.
Andy.
Yes.
I saw 12 Years a Slave last night. I don't care what anyone tells you. That is not a romantic comedy. So don't listen to people. Not a date night movie. I'm just saying, if you want to, Andy, you guess whether or not my wife and I smooched when that movie was over. I dare you to guess. The answer is no.
I'm going to go with no.
Yeah.
Here's a question, and you don't.
She may never let me touch her again. After
that's
that
right.
Movie.
Let me leave you with this. Better date movie.
Okay.
12 Years a Slave.
Okay.
Brokeback Mountain.
I'm gonna go with 12 Years a Slave.
Is a better date movie.
Wait a minute. Okay. I'm gonna go. Oh, that's so tough. See, Brokeback Mountain has Naked Anne Hathaway, but it's so depressing. And you can't help but think that your girlfriend/wife might actually be like, I wonder if he's gay.
Right.
Is that why we're seeing this? Because he's gay?
Right. Yes. All I will say to you is this, and I know that you know this about me, but for those who don't know this about me, the fact that you're struggling with this tells you how horrifying both of these movies are as a date movie choice. And I actually saw Brokeback Mountain on a date. Like, beginning of a relationship date. Like, beginning of, like, it wasn't
I'm sorry. You mean end of relationship date?
I mean that was when it died. It just took a couple months to kick in.
Yep.
Are we done? I think we're done.
I think we've proved our point.
we have proved our point, folks. We hope you have enjoyed our tribute to Harold Ramis and Daniel Carlson. Thank you so much for the questions.
Daniel Carlson, get that foolishness out of our house. Ask us some
Right.
tough questions next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, bring the pain, bruh.
And you know, Harold Ramis, rest
Harold
in
Ramis,
peace.
man.
God rest your soul.
Yes. And there we go. So, for the time being, we are Second Breakfast Podcast. I'm Andy Roth, and that's Phil Duvall. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
The most important meal of the day. Second